Welcome to ZOZO Sleepy Stories. We're thrilled to have you here for another cozy tale to spark your imagination. If you enjoy our stories, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends and family. Your support helps us keep the bedtime magic alive. Now, grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's dive into tonight's story. Good evening, traveler. Wherever you are, wrapped in your favorite blanket, lights dimmed low, perhaps listening with one ear pressed gently to the pillow. I invite you now to step softly with me, not just into sleep, but into memory. Not your memory, no, something older, something quieter, something dustier. Let's take a walk tonight, not through dreams, but through history. But not the kind with loud wars or long dates. No. Tonight we follow the moonlit back alleys of the past, the secret corners, the laughter behind tavern doors, the whisper of silk robes down marble halls, the soft clink of goblets raised under starlit roofs. You see, we don't often talk about how people lived when the sun went down. We speak of kings and queens and empires that rose and fell by daylight, but we forget what happened in the gentle hours when fires crackled low and sandals padded softly on stone, when songs replaced speeches, when shadows became stories. Tonight, you're not a listener, you're a quiet guest, and the world is waiting. So, make yourself comfortable. Take a deep breath. Let your body loosen just a little, like the drawstrings of an old cloak hung by the door. Let the air around you soften, and imagine this. It begins always with a door, wooden, worn smooth where 1,000 hands have touched it. The kind of door that squeaks when it opens, but not from rust, from use, from age, from memory. You reach for it gently. You press your hand to the worn wood, and it swings open, not with effort, but with invitation. And on the other side, time bends. You step out barefoot into a corridor that stretches in all directions, and none of them are marked. The floor beneath your feet isn't cold. It's earthen and warm. The ceiling above, a sky, low and starlit, shifting gently between civilizations like a curtain, being drawn from scene to scene. To your left, a flickering tavern from the highlands of medieval Europe. We'll visit that soon. To your right, the smooth marble steam rising from a Roman bathhouse where senators once gossiped beside farmers. But not yet. First, just walk. Breathe with the world, with its old rhythms, its candlelit sighs and papyrus prayers, its mulled wine and moonlight and murmured poems carved in stone. The air smells of spice and parchment and warm dust, of sandalwood and smoke, the kind that curls out of chimneys and doesn't rise but drifts, as if it's not quite ready to leave. Somewhere a flute plays, not for an audience, just because it can. You walk past windows not made of glass, but of stretched cloth, gently glowing from oil lamps within. Shadows of hands move inside, pouring tea, telling stories, playing with a cat that, like all cats, believes it owns the home. The walls are covered not in paint, but in memory. Here, A carved lion watches you with chipped eyes from a Sumerian temple. There, a cloth banner flaps gently, bearing the symbol of a dynasty long gone, but once beloved. History here isn't cold. It isn't locked in books or buried in sand. It's breathing, sleepy, content. And you're not intruding. You belong here. Because people have always moved through the night the same way. Hungry for a warm place, a kind face, a little music, a little laughter, and maybe just a little less loneliness. The difference is only in the dust. So, where shall we go first? Do you fancy a drink poured from a clay jug by a one-eyed tavern keeper with a heart of gold and a mouth like a sailor? Or perhaps you'd rather dip your feet into the bathhouses of Rome, where steam carries secrets and scandal in equal measure. Perhaps we should listen to the songs of women threading jasmine into one another's hair in the night markets of Damascus. Or sit beside an old scholar in Alexandria as he copies the stars onto parchment by candlelight. They are all waiting, all alive. You just have to keep walking. Let your thoughts drift like incense. Let your breath slow like a market after dark. Let the centuries open around you like a well-loved book. The trick to traveling through ancient nightlife is to not chase it. You don't force it. You don't analyze. You let it come to you, gently like mist, like memory. You let the world unfold the way old songs do, one soft verse at a time. Soon we'll visit a tavern where the mugs are chipped and the stories are louder than the fights. We'll meet a bard with 3 teeth and the confidence of a king. We'll watch dice roll across warped wood and fall in love with the rhythm of spilled ale and old laughter. But not yet. Tonight, this first step is enough. Tonight is about remembering that behind every monument was a doorway. Behind every kingdom was a dinner table. Behind every great name etched in stone was someone who, at the end of the day, just wanted to sit down, share a drink, and hear a good story before bed. Like you, like me. So rest now. Let this first step be your guide. You've opened the door. You've begun the walk. Tomorrow night we'll enter the tavern. But tonight, just listen. Can you hear it? The gentle clatter of wooden mugs, the thrum of music through the floor, the whisper of history asking softly. Are you still awake? Welcome back, traveler. The night is still young, or perhaps it's very old. It's hard to say down here in the folds of history. Do you remember the door you opened yesterday? The one that creaked like an old friend clearing its throat? Good. Because tonight, that same door swings wide again, and a different scent drifts through. It's warmer now. Richer, sharper, ale, smoke, mud, laughter. Welcome to the medieval tavern. Not the castle, not the church, not the battlefield. This noisy, smelly, chaotic little wooden box is where life really happened. Step inside, won't you? The door doesn't so much open as it surrenders. It groans as if it's been holding in all the stories, songs and swears from the day before. And it finally can't hold back. And what hits you first? The smell. A tangled bouquet of things that probably weren't meant to be mixed. Warm ale, damp wool, smoked meat, wet straw, and Is that boiled onion or a ghost with digestive issues? No one knows. No one asks. Inside, the ceiling hangs low, like it's ducking in case someone throws another mug. Candles flicker from iron sconces, casting long shadows that make even chairs look like they might start a bar fight. The floor is dirt, not metaphorically, literally, dirt, with a sprinkle of hay for ambiance. You look around and realize you've entered not a room, but a performance. There's no stage, because here, everyone is the show. To your left, a farmer is retelling the same story about a cow that gave birth sideways. He slaps the table for emphasis. The table wobbles in protest. To your right, a bard with more confidence than talent sings a song about a goose that betrayed a nobleman. Don't ask. No one knows the lyrics, not even him, especially not him. And near the fire, that's the hearth, the soul of every tavern. Flames lick at soot-stained bricks, warming the backs of gamblers, poets, and that one man who hasn't stopped laughing since someone spilled soup on his boots. You find a bench, crooked, damp, suspicious, and claim it with the solemn pride of a traveler who's seen too much and just wants a warm seat. Congratulations, you're now part of the tavern. Let's talk about drinks. You ask what's on offer, and the barmaid squints at you like you just asked for dragon milk. Ale, she says, or something that used to be cider. You pick ale. It arrives in a wooden mug that might also double as a soup bowl, a dog dish, or a blunt weapon in a fight. The liquid inside is thick, warm, and smells slightly fermented, which is a good sign, or a very bad one. You take a sip. It's bitter. It's alive. It's perfect. Not because it tastes good. It doesn't. But because it's here, now, in your hand, in this place that smells like history forgot to shower. And then there's the tavern keeper. Every tavern has one, and they don't wear crowns, but they rule more fiercely than any king. You glance behind the plank bar, and there they are, built like a barrel with a glare that could silence a thunderstorm. They don't need a menu. They are the menu. They don't write anything down. They remember every face, every tab, every insult. They are the judge, jury, cook, and occasional mop wielder when things get messy. You respect them. You fear them. You tip them. And still, they don't like you. But don't take it personally. That's just how they smile. The tavern has no blueprint. Tables lean like they were placed during an earthquake. Chairs wobble like they have stage fright. Some people sit on barrels. One man is using a sack of onions as a pillow. There are no walls between classes here. A knight in dented armor drinks beside a butcher with blood on his apron. A monk giggles at a joke about sheep. A noble's son flirts with a tavern girl and gets a ladle to the head for his trouble. In here, titles are left at the door. Only stories matter now. And noise. So much noise. It rises in layers. Laughter, shouting, singing, sneezing. Someone drops a mug. Someone else picks it up and keeps drinking. The bard starts a new song. This one is about a duck. Again, don't ask. It's absurd. It's alive. It's wonderful. And then, suddenly, it's quiet. Not completely. Just a pause. A breath. A strange, magical lull where even the smoke seems to hang mid-air in suspense. Then someone sneezes. Loudly. Someone else farts like they were waiting for the cue. And just like that, the tavern erupts again, as if silence was a sin that had to be corrected immediately. You sip your ale, warm and cloudy. You lean back on the bench that might collapse at any moment. You listen to the bard who rhymes goose with truth and somehow makes it work. And for a flicker of a moment, the world feels smaller, simpler. Not easier, but more understandable. Here, everyone is loud because life is hard. Everyone drinks because the water will kill you. Everyone laughs because crying would take too much effort. This isn't just a bar. It's a sanctuary, a jungle, a family gathering of complete strangers with bad table manners and worse aim. And as the fire crackles and the night deepens and the ale finally starts numbing the edges of your thoughts, you smile. Because for all its stink and sound and stickiness, this medieval tavern feels safe. Not clean, not polite, but safe. So close your eyes now, traveler. Let the clink of mugs and crackle of fire carry you. Tomorrow we'll return to this place, not to drink, but to listen. Because the best stories aren't on the stage. They're whispered between strangers at midnight, over stew and stale bread, while the world outside forgets to knock. But that's tomorrow. For now, lean back. Let the ale settle. Let the tavern hum. And rest. Good evening, traveler. You've wandered far. Your boots are still damp from the tavern's spilled ale, your ears still ringing with laughter and lute strings. But tonight we trade the noise for silence. Not the cold silence of an empty hall, but the warm, intimate hush of steam. Tonight, you step into a world of marble and mist, the Roman bathhouse. Not just a place to wash, but to whisper, to watch, to wonder. Take off your cloak, leave your sandals at the door, and follow the sound of running water. It begins with warmth. Not a burning heat, but a soft, full-bodied warmth that greets your skin like an old friend pressing close in the cold. The floors are stone, smooth, well-worn by 1,000 bare feet that passed this way before yours. You walk slowly, quietly. Voices echo, but they never shout. Conversations here are like steam, light, drifting, never meant to linger too long. The air is thick, not heavy, but full. You can taste it even. Hints of lavender, chamomile, crushed myrtle leaf. Herbs scattered in the caldarium, the hot room, where water is heated by furnaces beneath the floor. The Romans were clever that way. They made the earth itself do the work. You pass beneath an archway carved with vines and dolphins, and step into the heart of the bathhouse. There is no rush here. No one hurries. No one runs. Time itself seems to slow, as if it too has slipped into something more comfortable and decided to stay a while. You see them now, men in loose robes, draped in towels, lounging on marble benches. Some debate politics, others gossip. A few lean back with eyes closed, simply listening to the rhythm of dripping water and quiet breath. A senator murmurs about taxes. A baker grumbles about grain shortages. A poet whispers lines he's too shy to publish. There is a rhythm here, a ritual, And it begins not with soap, but with surrender. First, you sweat. You enter the caldarium, where the heat curls around your limbs like a woolen blanket soaked in sunlight. Your skin glistens. Your shoulders drop. You forget the stiffness in your back. The heat seeps in, gently, like kindness. Someone hums nearby. A low tune, ancient and nameless. It reverberates in the steam like a prayer to no one in particular. Then comes the strigil, a curved metal tool held in the hands of a slave or friend, gently scraping oil and sweat from your skin. Not harsh, not violent, just deliberate, like drawing lines in warm clay. This was the Roman way. They didn't just bathe, they shed the day. Next, the frigidarium, the cold room. Yes, you flinch. Everyone does. The plunge into cold water is a sharp kiss on the cheek from reality. But it wakes you, clears your head, reminds you that you're still here, still alive, still wonderfully human beneath it all. You emerge, tingling, wrapped in towel and thought. And that's when the conversations begin. You sit beneath a vaulted ceiling. Light filters in through oculi, round openings carved into stone, letting sunbeams fall in columns like ancient stage lights. And the bathhouse becomes a theater. Here, secrets are traded like coins. A general confesses a dream he can't shake. A merchant admits he might raise prices before the wheat arrives. A philosopher speculates that maybe the gods aren't watching as closely as the priests say. And you? You simply listen. Because in this place, everyone speaks softer. And somehow, the truth speaks louder. Women bathe, too, though in separate quarters equally grand. Their laughter filters through the walls like birdsong behind a curtain. Their baths are scented with rose petals, sweet marjoram, and wine-soaked cloth. Their secrets are just as rich. Here, in steam, power balances out. No armor, no togas, no masks, just skin and voice and the small shared act of being vulnerable together. And when the right question is asked in just the right tone, even emperors whisper like children. Time passes. You lose track of it, because no one here wears a watch. They measure hours by how the sunlight shifts across the tiles, how the heat fades in the hypocaust, how many times a servant refills the oil lamp. Eventually, a bell rings from somewhere beyond the mist. A soft chime, a gentle nudge. The bathhouse begins to empty. One by one, the poets, the merchants, the lovers, the liars. They rise, towel off, and return to the world. You linger for just a moment more. Your skin is clean. Your thoughts are lighter. Your breath is slower. And your heart feels like it's been handed back to you, gently warmed and carefully mended. This place, this marble womb of steam and hush, has done its work. You rise, you walk, you disappear once more into the Roman night. Outside, the stars feel closer somehow. They hang low over tiled rooftops and echoing alleyways. Somewhere, a flute begins to play. Somewhere else, sandals slap against cobblestones. But here, in the quiet after the baths, the world feels gentle. You wrap your robe tighter, not from chill, but from comfort. You are clean. You are calm. You are part of something old. So rest now, traveler. Let the steam of the Roman bath cling softly to your thoughts. Let your breath follow the rhythm of dripping water. Let your mind float like a candle on warm water. Unhurried, glowing, safe. Tomorrow night we'll leave Rome and enter the lantern-lit mystery of the old Arabian markets. But for now, sleep. The marble is cool, the water is warm, and the night is yours. Good evening again, traveler. You've walked through muddy taverns and marble baths. You've sipped warm ale, dipped into cold waters, and listened to secrets whispered through steam. But tonight, something changes. Tonight, the air itself begins to hum. It hums with music, with language, with heat, and most of all, it hums with scent. Take a slow breath. There. Do you smell it? Cardamom, clove, orange peel, dust, sweet with the memory of rosewater. Welcome to the night markets of Old Arabia. There is no door here, no gate to knock on. The market simply appears, as it always has, once the sun drops and the shadows stretch wide enough to let in the magic. You step off the stone road and into a sea of color. Lanterns swing gently overhead, suspended from wooden beams and camel bone posts. Their golden light spills down onto woven rugs, embroidered robes, copper jugs, and baskets overflowing with dried fruit and rare spice. There are no walls, just stalls, tents, carpets laid out like offerings. Every corner is a corner of the world. This is not just a market, it's a map drawn with scent and sound. To your left, a man sharpens knives on a foot-pedaled wheel. Sparks fly like fireflies. To your right, a woman sells perfumes in tiny blue glass bottles, each stoppered with wax and mystery. She leans forward, smiling. This one, she says, is for lovers who never say goodbye. You don't ask what that means. You just nod. Because here, questions are currency, and answers cost more than gold. The market is not quiet, but it is not loud either. It is a soft, rolling sound, like waves on a starlit sea. Drums pulse low, steady, earthy. Strings twang, flutes trill. Laughter erupts, then vanishes like smoke. And through it all, voices, bartering, greeting, offering, teasing, woven together in a tapestry of language older than empire. A merchant with 7 rings on each hand lifts a bolt of silk, and it ripples like moonlight down a waterfall. He tells you it was dyed with crushed beetles, and a secret only his grandmother knew. You do not doubt him. In this place, truth is optional, but beauty is guaranteed. Children run between stalls, chasing each other with flatbread and figs. A cat dozes atop a sack of cumin. A camel grumbles from somewhere nearby. And above it all, the night stretches endlessly, stars flickering like coins dropped onto black velvet. The moon here feels different, not cold or distant, but near, like a silent guest who's seen it all and come back just to smile. But the real treasure of this market, it's not the silk, not the saffron, not even the gold, which glints quietly in the hands of a man selling scimitars and telling lies about his pirate past. No, the true currency here is story, and the storytellers. They sit on woven mats, circled by strangers and friends alike. You find one now, an old man, his beard silver, his voice soft as dust sliding off parchment. no stage, just a cushion, a cup of sweet tea at his side, and a voice like warm wind. He begins, not with "once upon a time," but with a pause, and then simply, "There was a merchant who traded in dreams," and the crowd leans in. He tells of ships made of glass that sailed the desert wind, of a princess who grew roses in her hair, each one blooming with a secret no suitor could survive, of a bird that carried the names of the dead on its wings and only landed on those who still remembered them. And no one interrupts. No one checks a clock. No one leaves. Because in this place, when a story begins, time forgets itself. You feel your eyes soften. Your shoulders relax. You're no longer listening. You're living inside the story. And when it ends, the applause is silent. Just nods, smiles, a single coin placed on the mat. The man bows, not low, just enough, and begins brewing another cup of tea. The next tale waits behind his eyes. You walk on. You pass a musician playing a stringed instrument carved from bone and polished with dates. You pass a woman painting henna onto her own palms, humming a lullaby to no one but herself. You pass two men arguing over whether a spice they're selling is nutmeg or just very persuasive sand. And still the night deepens. Still the market glows. There are no clocks here, only the slow burn of lantern oil and the even slower curve of the moon. Eventually, the stalls will close, the rugs will be rolled up, the storytellers will fall silent, the tea will run dry, but not yet. For now, the market breathes, and you breathe with it. Because sometimes the most beautiful thing about the past is how alive it still feels when the world grows quiet. So rest, traveler. Let the scents of frankincense and fire drift gently into your room. Let the voices of merchants and myth-makers whisper behind your dreams. Let the desert breeze brush against your skin like silk. You are not alone. You are among storytellers, sellers of stars, and seekers of magic, and they are watching over you, not with swords, not with spells, but with the soft, ancient act of speaking something beautiful into the dark. Sleep now. We'll walk again tomorrow, and maybe, just maybe, you'll carry a little of the market's wonder with you when you wake. Good evening again, traveler. Are you still awake? Or already drifting? Either way, let's continue. Tonight, your feet leave the desert sands and step lightly onto stony ground. The air is cooler here, thinner. It carries salt from the sea and the scent of olive trees whispering in the wind. You climb a hill, not steep, not harsh, but wide and welcoming. At its peak is no palace, no temple, just stone, curved like an ear, open to the sky. You've arrived at the theater. Ancient Greece didn't wait for morning to tell stories. They told them under moonlight, loud, proud, and in public. And tonight, the play is about to begin. You find your place on the stone steps, worn smooth by generations of breathless laughter and tearful gasps. There's no curtain, no roof, only stars above and stage below. To your left, an old woman sells figs wrapped in leaves. To your right, a boy balances a pitcher of wine for the man beside him who laughs too loud at nothing at all. You settle in. You exhale. And the first flute begins to play. Greek theater was never quiet. It wasn't for silence. It was for catharsis. The ancient word catharsis means cleansing, but not with water, with emotion. These stories weren't meant to put you to sleep. They were meant to wake something up, just long enough to let it go. On stage, masked actors step forward. Their voices are strong, not shouting, but trained to rise like wind against stone. One wears a mask of joy, bright eyes, lifted mouth, painted with sun-colored pigments. Another wears sorrow, mouth downturned, eyes wide with knowing. The masks are not to hide. They are to reveal, not just a face, but a feeling. Because in Greek theater, truth lived not in the actor, but in the space between the mask and the moonlight. The chorus enters. Dozens of voices speaking as one. They don't act, they comment. On the gods, the fates, the choices made. They are conscience. They are memory. They are the audience, reflected back at itself. And tonight's tale? It is familiar. A hero too proud. A warning not heeded. A choice that cannot be undone. You know the shape of it already, because the Greeks believed stories were cycles, like the moon, like the tide, like the human heart. As the play unfolds, you begin to notice the crowd more than the stage. The woman, 2 rows down, wipes her cheek with the edge of her cloak. The man beside you mutters the next line under his breath. He's heard this play before. Many times, he still feels it. A child rests their head on a father's shoulder, lulled by the rhythm of ancient poetry. This is not just theater. This is ritual. In ancient Athens, the theater was more than entertainment. It was sacred. Dedicated to Dionysus, the god of wine, yes, but also of ecstasy, transformation, and the crumbling of masks. Strange, isn't it? That, in a place of masks, people came to take off their own, to feel together, to grieve, to laugh, to fear, to forgive, inside the safety of story. And when the final line is spoken, when the music fades and the actors freeze like statues in shadow, there is no curtain to fall, only silence. And then, applause. Not thunderous, but sincere, the kind that comes not from hands, but from chests, from hearts that were just cracked open and stitched back together by words. The crowd begins to rise. Figs are eaten. Wine is finished. Stories are repeated in whispers, each retelling already a little different. Some walk home under the stars in silence. Others debate the hero's flaws like philosophers who know the ending, but still wish it could change. And you? You stay seated a little longer, not because of the story, but because of the feeling it left behind. Something soft, something ancient, something strangely comforting. And as the stars shift position above you, you realize the theater is still listening. The hill remembers. The masks remember. The wind carries echoes from 1,000 years ago. Not to haunt, but to remind that, even long ago, people sat just like you, beneath stars just like these, waiting for a story to speak something they couldn't say out loud. And when it did, they slept better for it. So rest now, traveler. Let the stage go dark. Let the masks slip back into their wooden shelves. Let the hero's voice drift into the olive trees. You've had your catharsis. You've sat among the ancients, and they were glad you came. sleep now as they once did, under stars, after story, at peace. Good evening again, dear traveler. You've sat among poets in the hills of Greece. Now, come closer. Come quietly, because tonight's destination does not shout. It whispers. You walk not on dirt or stone, but marble polished by sandaled feet. You pass no merchants, no masked actors, no ale-slick benches, only rows and rows and rows of shelves. This is not a market of goods. It is a market of minds. You are standing in the library of Alexandria, and it is nighttime, and it is still awake. Most imagine libraries as silent tombs for old thoughts, but not this one. Not here. Here, the night breathes like a parchment unfurling in warm air. Here, the scrolls don't sleep. They glow. Lanterns flicker from iron hooks above, casting golden halos on tables where scholars still sit, long after the sun has fled. Ink stains their fingers. Dust powders their robes. They do not speak much, but they listen more than anyone you've ever met. This is the quietest place we've been, and yet it may be the loudest in meaning, because in this place every letter matters. Every thought is sacred. You step between columns. The ceilings rise high above, so high that the stars themselves might drift in unnoticed, and beneath them are things that should not exist, but somehow do. Scrolls from Persia, treatises from Babylon, hymns from India, poems from Nubia, mathematics from Egypt, philosophy from Athens, maps of lands never named aloud, all gathered here between walls of limestone and memory. You see a boy of no more than 10, carefully unrolling a scroll taller than he is. Beside him, an old woman corrects his pronunciation, not cruelly, but like a mother guiding a hand back to its pen. You see a man translating lines from Aramaic to Greek, pausing often, not because he doesn't understand, but because he knows the weight of every word. And in the corner, almost hidden, someone is painting a star chart, not from the sky as it is, but from how it might be. The library was more than books. It was the dream of knowing everything. A place where knowledge was gathered not to be hoarded, but to be shared. A lighthouse of learning. Its flame not just fire, but understanding. At its height, they say it held hundreds of thousands of scrolls. But tonight, you don't need to count them. You only need to feel them. Because the real light of Alexandria wasn't the oil lamps. It was curiosity. And it still burns. You walk softly past a desk where two scholars argue in hushed tones about the angle of the sun during eclipses. One gestures with his quill. The other just smiles, knowing the debate itself is more valuable than being right. Nearby, a poet is copying a hymn in a language he does not speak. When asked why, he replies, "Because beauty deserves to travel." And further down, a woman scribes recipes from a foreign herb master. Not for profit, not even for medicine, just because someone should remember them. And yet, for all this richness, there's something else in the air, a feeling, something sad and slow and soft, like dust slipping through your fingers. Because you know what history tells us. This place will not last. Fire is coming, or maybe politics, or betrayal, or just time. But tonight, none of that has happened yet. Tonight, the library is alive, and you are here, in the moment before the silence, before the flame, before forgetting. You run your fingers across the edge of a scroll bound in red silk. The words are inked by hand, uneven, imperfect, irreplaceable. They say the scribes here believed that to copy a text was to carry the author's soul across time. So, tonight, you are not alone. You are surrounded by thousands of voices, still speaking, still searching, still believing that knowledge could make the world better. And somehow, even in the face of what's to come, that hope is enough. A bell chimes softly, not to end the night, but to mark a turning of time. The scrolls are wrapped in linen, the tables are wiped, the ink pots are capped. One by one, the scholars rise, not tired, not hurried, just satisfied. Tomorrow they will return. Tomorrow the questions will continue. And if not tomorrow, then in another dream, maybe even yours. So come, traveler. Lay down now, gently. Let the scent of old parchment and warmed ink lull your thoughts. Let your breath rise like lantern smoke. Let your dreams open like scrolls, one soft line at a time. You've walked among knowledge tonight. You've brushed fingertips with eternity. And though the library may one day fall to silence, the wonder you carry now, it never has to. Sleep well. You are part of something ancient, and it remembers you. Good evening once more, traveler. You have walked through steam, song, scrolls, and spice. But tonight, your feet grow softer. Your breath slows. Because you are walking not through streets or temples, but through chambers of hush. It is midnight in ancient Egypt. The river Nile sleeps nearby, whispering to itself beneath a silver moon. The air smells of lotus, sandalwood, and baked stone. Torches flicker low in their sconces. Incense curls like smoke from forgotten dreams. And within the walls of the palace, beyond marble colonnades and golden doors, she waits. Queen Nefertiti. Her name means the beautiful one has come. But beauty was only the beginning. You do not approach her like you would a king. She is not a ruler of declarations. She is a woman of presence. She does not command the room. She becomes it. Every stone echoes her step. Every servant leans forward when she speaks. Even the flames seem to tilt toward her as she passes, as if hoping for a glance. She does not sleep early, not because she cannot, but because the night belongs to her. And you are not a guard, not a scribe, not a priest. You are simply a guest in this moment, invited to walk the edge of power without falling in. You follow her now, barefoot across cool alabaster tiles. She wears linen dyed in hues rare and royal. Deep lapis, woven with thread dipped in crushed carnelian. Her earrings glint like twin suns, and yet no jewel shines brighter than the poise in her silence. She does not speak often, but when she does, the silence listens. The court is hushed at night. The day is for rituals, offerings to Aten, the sun God raised above all others. But night is for truth, for whispers behind palm fronds and quiet laughter behind veils, for letters passed between musicians and rumors carried by handmaidens with eyes like hawks. Tonight, a diplomat arrived late from Nubia. He says he brings gifts. Tomorrow he'll offer ivory and spices. But tonight, he listens at doors. He watches too closely, and somewhere in the darkness, Nefertiti already knows. She sees all, not with suspicion, with certainty. This is what queens must do when kingdoms change with every breath. Outside, the sun temples lie in darkness. Their walls, carved with rays and praises, glow only by starlight. But here, in this inner court, the light is softer. A single oil lamp illuminates a bowl of pomegranates. A harp leans silently against the wall. A mirror, bronze and slightly tarnished, rests near a painted box of coal. And on the balcony, facing the river, the queen. She stands still, as if waiting, but not for someone, for a thought. Nefertiti was more than a consort. She worshipped beside her husband, Pharaoh Akhenaten, not behind him. She stood as an equal in ceremony. In art, she is shown the same size, sometimes larger. She lifted her hands to attend the sun disk and offered bread, wine, prayers. But many believe she offered something else too, a new way, a new vision of royalty, gentler, more intimate, more dangerously human, and some feared it. Not all revolutions wear armor. Some wear perfume. Tonight, the court has grown quieter. Whispers say Akhenaten is unwell, that his limbs are thin, his mind overworked by visions. And now, some believe, Nefertiti rules in all but name, behind the scenes, between the shadows, through moonlight and mirrors. She speaks with generals in private. She meets with priests who once worshipped other gods. She writes with her own hand, never sealed by scribes. A co-regent, some say. A pharaoh, perhaps, but not yet. For now, she waits and watches. And yet, not all is strategy. Even queens are women. And in the quiet of her chamber, Nefertiti lays down the crown, just for a moment. She bathes in water scented with lotus and myrrh. She brushes her daughter's hair beneath soft lamplight. She listens to the music of flutes and lyres rising from the servants' courtyard, as familiar and fleeting as breath. She remembers the poems Akhenaten once whispered when the sun rose behind their garden. Not power, not ceremony, just love, the kind even history forgets to mention. But time never rests, and even queens must rise again. The night deepens. A servant enters with news, another message, another seal, another name. Nefertiti turns. She is no longer soft. She is no longer just mother, wife, or goddess incarnate. She is ruler now, and in her eyes, the weight of a kingdom written in starlight. So rest, traveler. Let the rustle of linen in moonlight ease your thoughts. Let the scent of burning incense settle softly over your chest. Let the presence of Nefertiti, calm, sharp, and luminous, stand watch over your dreams. She has ruled longer than any crown would admit, and still she lingers, etched in stone, whispered in myth, lit by the glow of a distant ancient moon. Sleep now. You have walked beside a queen, and she remembers. Welcome back, traveler. You've seen taverns roar and libraries whisper. You've followed queens through moonlight and watched stars ripple on the Nile. But tonight, the road climbs higher. There are no palaces here, no masks, no scrolls, no crowns, only stone, and silence, and the breath of a dragon hidden in the hills. You arrive in Longji, a name that means dragon's backbone, just as dusk settles across the mountaintops. The sun is retreating behind ridgelines, leaving a soft glow that lingers like an afterthought. The air here is cool, clean and sweet with the scent of earth and rice husk. You're not in a city anymore. You're in a place carved by hands and hope, and everything is curved. The hills ripple like waves, except these waves do not crash. They wait. Layered terrace upon terrace, the land folds upward, stacked like 1,000 soft steps into the sky. Each step is filled with water, catching the last golden light of day. And when you look closely, you don't just see the hills, you see scales. The dragon isn't a beast of fire here. It is made of soil, of mud, of stone and patience. Its back is the land, its breath, the fog, its pulse, the water that trickles endlessly from ridge to ridge. And tonight, it sleeps beneath your feet. You walk along a narrow path, no wider than your own shoulders. Bamboo rustles nearby. Frogs begin to sing. Somewhere, a rooster crows. Not because it's morning, but because it wants to be heard. And above you, the sky has turned from amber to deep violet. In the village ahead, lamps are being lit. Not electric, not gas. Just simple flames, trapped in paper or glass, shining from wooden windows built on stilts. The homes cling to the mountains like old stories, sturdy, quiet, and filled with the scent of steamed rice and boiled herbs. Here, life does not move fast. It moves right, deliberate, circular, seasonal. At the edge of the terrace, you find an old man kneeling by a channel of water. He wears a jacket faded by sun and stitched at the elbow. He is adjusting a wooden gate, just a sliver of plank, to redirect the flow from one terrace to the next. He does not look up. He does not speak. But in that single movement, you understand everything. Water is life, and knowing when to let it flow or when to hold it back is wisdom passed down from parent to child for centuries. This is not just farming. This is calligraphy in the landscape. The terraces were not built by machines. They were carved by hand, stone by stone, foot by foot. Each curve, each slope, each pool of mirrored sky, designed with no ruler, no architect, just the patient rhythm of people listening to the land, and the land, in turn, listened back. As night deepens, the mists rise. They come like dancers, soft and slow, swirling through the valleys and wrapping themselves around the mountain's bones. The dragon is exhaling. You feel it in your lungs, in your steps, in the way the world seems to pause and hum. Dinner is simple. Rice cooked in bamboo tubes, wild greens sautéed with garlic, pickled roots in tiny clay bowls. You sit on a wooden bench with elders who speak in low tones and smile often. They do not ask questions. They pour tea. And the silence between you feels full, not empty. Later, a woman in red walks out onto a stone patio. She lifts a reed pipe to her lips and begins to play. The melody is not loud. It is long. It stretches like the terraces themselves, upward, downward, always circling back. It is not a song you can hum. It is a song you can rest inside. You close your eyes. You hear it echo across the hills. You imagine the dragon hears it too, and perhaps that's why it sleeps so peacefully. Tonight, there is no war, no politics, no performance, only rhythm, water, wind, light, stone, repeat. And with every step, the mountain reminds you, not everything ancient has to be grand. Some things are just true. And the truest things are carved slowly and held gently. So rest now, traveler. Let the mist wrap around your shoulders like a blanket. Let the stars reflect in the terraces below, so it feels as if you're floating. Let the dragon's breath guide your dreams, not with fire, but with patience. You are high above the noise now, and down here, even sleep moves like water. Good evening again, traveler. You've walked high above the clouds where terraces ripple like dragon scales. Now, take a breath, because tonight we go the other way. Down, beneath the water, beneath the river, beneath the hush of history. There, half sleeping in the mud, lies something that may or may not exist. They call it the underwater Sphinx. Most visitors to Egypt raise their eyes to the sky, to the pyramids, sharp and eternal, to the great Sphinx with its gaze locked on the sunrise for over 4,000 years. But just a few miles north of Giza, near a sleepy village called Abu Rawash, the Nile shifts. And in that quiet bend of reeds and brackish water, something stirs, a shape, too symmetrical to be natural, too still to be ignored. A lion's back, a carved paw, the faint, eroded suggestion of a face. We don't know, but the whisper of it has haunted maps, minds, and sonar scans for decades. Tonight, you stand on the bank of that quiet bend. The wind rustles the papyrus. The river is calm, but not empty, because beneath it, something may be waiting, not roaring, just remembering. You close your eyes and imagine diving beneath the surface, not quickly, not recklessly, but slowly, as if the past were sensitive, as if memory could bruise. The water is murky, not dark, just thick with time. And there it is, a form, stone, maybe, weathered, worn, but intentional. Not a rock, a message. Some say it predates the pyramids, older than kings, older than writing, carved by a civilization lost to the river, the desert, or the slow forgetting of time. If that's true, it would change everything. It would mean Egypt's story began before Egypt. That before there were priests and scrolls, there were monuments already falling asleep. Skeptics say it's just erosion, a trick of water and wishful thinking. But then, why the symmetry? Why the direction? Why the feel of eyes that once watched something that no longer exists? In your dream, you touch the stone. It is colder than water. It is not trying to be found, but it is not trying to hide. It simply is, still, waiting, like a letter never opened, like a voice that forgot how to speak, but still wants to be heard. When you rise back to the surface, the moon has moved. The reeds have stilled, and the river looks the same as it always has. But you know better, because underneath it, something waits. And waiting, when done long enough, becomes a kind of power. The Egyptians believed names held magic, that to speak a name was to give it breath. So what happens when something has no name? Does it sleep forever? Or does it find new ways to speak, through silence, through shape, through dreams? Perhaps tonight you are the listener. Perhaps you were meant to hear what others ignored. Not with ears, but with wonder. The underwater Sphinx may never be found. It may remain a mystery, half submerged, half believed. But in truth, its greatest power is not in its stone. It is in its question. What else have we forgotten? What else lies just beneath the surface? What monuments remain unspoken, not just in rivers, but in ourselves? So rest now, traveler. Let the waters flow gently over your thoughts. Let the sediment of worry settle. Let the ancient, sleeping guardian beneath the Nile remind you. Not everything lost is gone. Some things are just waiting. And dreams are how we dive. Good evening, dear traveler. You've walked far, from smoky taverns to steam-filled bathhouses, from markets wrapped in silk and spice to libraries lit by oil and thought. You've climbed dragon-backed mountains and dipped your soul beneath the waters of forgotten stone. And now it is midnight, not in any one place, but everywhere at once. The ancient world has grown quiet again, but its breath remains. You sit now in the space between stories, and in that space something stirs. Not a god, not a ghost, but something gentler. A memory, not just of the places we've visited, but of what they've whispered in the dark. Because the night, dear traveler, was never just a pause. It was a mirror, and you have looked into it. In the tavern, you saw chaos wrapped in comfort, laughter as armor, stew as ritual, ale as survival. In the Roman bath, you saw skin bare but guarded, voices gentle but sharp, thoughts shared in steam and sigh. In the Arabian market, you tasted language in the air, flavors carried not in spice, but in story. In the Greek theater, you cried other people's tears, and somehow felt your own heart lighter for it. In the library of Alexandria, you walked among words that had waited thousands of years for someone like you to listen. In Egypt, you stood beside a queen who ruled with stillness and gaze, whose mystery still stretches across stars and stone. In China, you walked the spine of the earth itself, where water sings and mountains remember. And beneath the Nile, you listened to silence, and found a voice there. So what was the ancient night? Not a place, not even a time. It was a feeling of people long gone, trying to live, love, laugh, and leave something behind in the dark. Not to be famous, not to be worshipped, but to be remembered, even if only by a single person sitting centuries later, wrapped in blankets, listening to a story before sleep. Like you. There's something powerful about that, isn't there? You've never met the bard who sang to geese in the tavern. You've never shared tea with a librarian by lantern light. You've never stood beside Nefertiti under a moonlit colonnade. And yet, you've felt them. For a moment. You've carried them with you. You've whispered back. And here's the most ancient truth of all. Night never really ends. It turns, yes. It shifts. It gives way to dawn. But it never disappears. And the stories it holds, quiet, breathing, shimmering just beneath the surface, they never leave. They just wait for the next curious soul to close their eyes and ask to be taken somewhere before sleep. So rest now, traveler. You've been the bard. You've been the listener. You've been the ghost in the crowd, the guest at the fire, the dreamer beneath stone. The ancient night has spoken, and you heard it. Let that be enough. Let the echoes grow soft. Let the stories settle. Let the night at last carry you, not backward, not forward, but gently inward, into stillness, into sleep, into the endless hush where the past still hums. Good night.